You've probably heard of the Bible passage from Luke 10:27. You must love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, and with all your mind. But what does this really mean? Well, let's break it down. First, God can see into our hearts. He can see what our intentions and our motivations are, and He appreciates it when we try our best to please Him. We will be judged by our behavior, but as it says in Matthew 7:16-20, you will know someone by their fruits, meaning there's a connection between our behavior and the amount of goodness in our hearts. If we do good deeds, this transforms our heart into becoming more pleasing to God, whereas the opposite is true if we continue to do what we know is wrong. Conversely, having a good heart predisposes us to doing more good. As it says in Luke 6:43-45, the good person out of the good treasure of his heart brings forth what is good, and the evil person out of the evil treasure brings forth what is evil. Our hearts are also our free will, and what God is asking us to do is to give over our free will to Him completely. As it says in Mark 12:17, give to Caesar what is Caesar's and give to God what is God's. Well, since we all belong to God, we're asked to give our lives, our hearts, our souls, and indeed our entire being over to Him. Second, loving God with all your soul means trying to perfect yourself in virtue and minimize your vices. God is 100% virtue and 0% vice, so the more we can adorn our soul with virtues that we've worked hard to perfect during this lifetime, using the challenges that we encounter as opportunities to practice and hone them, the more pleasing our soul will be to God. The less attachments we have, the more we can increase in virtue. Number 3 is to love God with all your strength. It takes a lot of fortitude, as I'm sure you know, to be able to resist temptation. Temptation usually starts in the mind as an idea, and in order to love God with all your strength requires constantly resisting the never-ending temptations that come your way. Of course, we're not perfect and we are going to fail. When this happens, we can still love God with all our strength by having the courage to return to Him with regret and sorrow and seek His mercy and forgiveness. Loving God with all your strength also means to persevere through difficulties. And remember, we can and should always ask God for help when we feel that we don't have enough strength. As Jesus' words say in 2 Corinthians 12:9, my power is made perfect in weakness. Finally, loving God with all of your mind can mean many things. Striving to improve your self-awareness moment by moment so that you can become more sharply aware of when you're being tempted. It can also mean building your relationship with God through mental prayer. So not just going to God when you need something, but talking to Him on a regular basis as you would do with a good friend or a close family member. In 1 Thessalonians 5:16-18, it says, pray without ceasing. But how can you actually do this? Well, many of the saints, through their intention to become closer to God, regularly begged God for the graces to grow in virtue, but also to advance in their level of prayer. There's actually 9 levels of prayer, and I'm going to do another video about those, but one of the higher levels of prayer is actually the ability to engage in worldly activities, but also at the same time still having your mind constantly focused on God in prayer. St. Teresa of Avila said that the most important thing when praying is attention, and we focus our attention with our mind. As you can see, each of these are interrelated and interdependent on each other. And so, for example, when you love God with all your heart, it also requires all your strength and your mind, which affects the state of your soul. Surrendering your soul completely to God is the ultimate act of love and requires humility and complete trust in Him. Loving God with your whole being takes practice, and it should be the focus of our time here on earth. But it's important to keep in mind that we can't do this on our own. We need to continually pray for the grace to increase our faith, our trust, charity, and all of our virtues. As we strive to love God more fully, we become more like Him, who is perfect in charity and all virtues. I hope this helps you to change your mind.